Welcome to the Vibrant Couple. I have invited my friend Monique again to play with me this morning on a very simple, often overlooked, but very powerful tool, paraphrasing. We are going to talk about expected benefits of paraphrasing. We are going to give you instructions on how to properly paraphrase. We are going to do some role plays, Monique and I, and then we will go into Q&A. So Monique, there are no way around it. In a couple, there are moments of wonderful connection and moments of very painful disconnection. And so what are the benefits of paraphrasing?
Yeah, we get better at listening. We foster more connection. We develop more empathy. And as a result, relationships stronger.
One of the things I found wonderful, Monique, is in the realm of relationships and communication. More and more we talk about nervous system regulation and nervous system co-regulation. And so here, paraphrasing is wonderful. I normally would tell you, hey, here are the instructions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this is not the case with paraphrasing, and I'm more going into what I would call ingredients.
I think
So,
that's a good description.
yeah, so there are two types of paraphrasing. Parrot paraphrasing, in which you repeat word for word what your partner said, and summary paraphrasing, in which you somehow summarize overall what they say. Both are valid, both have pros and cons. The most important at this point is you know the difference between the two, so you can pick and choose best as you go.
One of the most important steps is to check your intention. The intention with paraphrasing is to be understanding of your partner and to be understood. Paraphrasing is a part of active listening. So you're showing that I'm connecting with you, I care about you and our relationship. And as a consequence, you want to make sure you do it in a way that's most hearable for your partner. Some of them are going to prefer parroting, some are going to prefer summary, a little of both. What's going to be really valuable for them is that you're using I statements. This is what's happening for me. This is what I tell myself.
I love how you use the word most hearable, because sometimes our partner are going to hear us, sometimes they are not. It's part of the reconnecting process. And so you and I made a video recently on projections, and basically, typically, they derail the train. And I want to expand a little bit and basically avoid judgments, projections, and interpretations. I also made a video on that in the Emotional Intelligence series a few months ago.
Two powerful paraphrasing questions are: did I get you? Is there more?
And now, our role plays. We are going to do 4 role plays to show reactivity and invitation to non-reactivity. Monique, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so Monique, you and I have an agreement that 3 days a week, I'm going to do the dishes after my lunch when you're at work, whenever I'm ready, and that I will do that preferably before you come home, but not always. But I really want to make sure that this is, my movement. And yesterday you did the dishes before I had the time to do it. And I felt a pang in my stomach. I felt like you didn't trust me.
Oh, so you were worried that I didn't trust you because you didn't get around to doing the dishes? Is that what you're saying?
So, listeners, I trust that you saw that I was not reactive, but Monique became reactive. So, we are going to do the same role play. I don't need to redo the first part. I'll do a quick summary of the end. And then Monique is going to paraphrase what I was saying in a way that invites co regulation between us. So, Monique, I felt like you didn't trust me.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate the feedback. I realize that I was on autopilot, and what you're saying is that by me doing the dishes, when I know that you and I have this agreement in place, is that most of the time you'll have it done before I get home, but that sometimes you won't. And it really was me overstepping by doing them, and it conveyed to you that I didn't trust that that you had it. You were going to do the dishes. Did I get you? Is that right?
Listeners, notice that Monique here was very intentional about calming herself down and calming me down. First, she took a deep breath, and then she did the summary paraphrasing. And very skillfully, she had a few moments of paraphrasing in which she used the very own words I used. So that was a very, very good combination of the two.
As we continue this role play, let's pick off where I said, "Did I get you?"
So, yes, you did. And I really appreciated you taking the time to basically meet me where I was, both in terms of chronological recounting of what had happened and also honoring the painful feeling I had of, lack of trust, lack of autonomy, lack of, basically respect.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is there more?
Notice that Monique's skillful paraphrasing opened the door for empathy and for a deeper conversation on my need for respect. Okay, so now, Monique, let's dive into two scenarios in which the person expressing is highly reactive, basically the opposite of my expression when during these first two scenarios. So, how about you be the one reactive and then I try to paraphrase to basically calm things down?
Valdo, you're always just helping around the house. You're never actually seeing what needs to be done. It's like I'm always doing chore management and you're just along for the ride.
Monique, why do you think that I'm incapable? This is so effing painful. So this is going nowhere. Even in our role play, this feels like it could escalate very quickly. Let's redo this. That was wonderful reactive statement, which I'm pretty sure many women relate to, because chore management is something that very few men understand. And so, Monique, you will make that statement, and I will do my best to paraphrase as a way of regulating our conversation, regulating you, and making sure that you feel heard, understood, and valued in our couple.
Valdo, you're always just helping. You're never actually like seeing what needs to be done and, doing chore management.
So, Monique, I'm hearing you say that you see me always only helping. That's correct?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay. And then you continued and you talk about chore management. I have the impression there is more. Do you mind sharing?
well, yeah, I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm tracking everything, not just chore management. I'm just, I tracking the health of our relationship, the where we're going to go on our vacation. I just feel like you're not there.
Tracking, and I'm not there. Am I getting you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel understood.
So, um, I'm hearing a number of my friends tell me they have a similar type of fights with their wife who basically tell them that they don't understand chore management one way or another. Do you mind telling me more um, what it would mean for you if I were to help you with chore management so I better understand? Because, I help quite a bit if we take a video of, who does the cooking, who does the vacuum, who does that. I likely do more than 50%, which I'm really happy. And so I want to make sure that there is something I can contribute to your feeling also supported with chore management.
Yeah, I think as you're paraphrasing so skillfully back, I'm realizing that I've been focusing on the negatives and not appreciating what you do contribute. So I think that just the overwhelm I put myself in life is coming home and looking for what's wrong instead of acknowledging all that you do. And what is still true for me is I would like you to acknowledge if you see something needs doing that we haven't agreed who's doing what. That just, hey, I noticed that the trees need pruning, and I'm just want to acknowledge that there's a chore that we haven't got on our list.
Got it. Got it. So basically, there is somehow you feeling overwhelmed and focusing on the negative. And if I were to make visible my to-do list, my own honey-do list visible to you, that would help. I say, hey, darling, I saw it, and in my masculine sequential, I'm first going to do this, second going to do that, and I will get to do that third. It seems that it would help.
Yes, yes. So I'll work on being more appreciative and scanning for what's working, and I would love to see your to-do list.
Listeners, notice that I used every of the paraphrasing type, including empathy guessing. There was a very clear relaxation at some points when I parroted, even if it was just one word, that was very intentional. There was also a summary, and there was also an invitation for her to relax, for her to know that I'm here and what can I do to make it easier for you.
It's amazing how powerful this tool is. And now for a Q&A. The first viewer writes in, "My boyfriend hates it when I paraphrase because he thinks I'm manipulating him. What should I do?"
That is a very good question. So, first, it may be linked to your learning curve because when we learn to do something, we tend to be fairly academic and we tend to be clunky. In addition to your learning curve and your skills in paraphrasing, some people are more reactive than others, and some situations trigger deeper reactivity. I would love to invite you here to use that situation to further and better your skills at paraphrasing and active listening. Interesting question. Do you have other words for paraphrasing? When I use this word, it tends to trigger my wife.
Yes, the word paraphrasing sounds very academic. So you'll find the phrases that work best for you. Some might include, may I make sure I understand you? Or may I repeat back what I think I've heard you say? Or if they continue talking, just a minute, I want to capture what you've said so far. You might also do slow down so that I can repeat what I've heard. I want to make sure I understand. These are a few phrases. There's some more like, oops, I think I just said that in a way that triggered you as you're paraphrasing. May I try that again in a way to show my understanding without activating you? And you might say, ouch, if somebody says something in a reactive way, and take just a moment to regulate yourself, which might hopefully regulate them, and then paraphrase from there. Again, you'll find the right phrase for you.
Monique, these were wonderful suggestions. in addition to words, I believe it is important to pay attention to nonverbal communication. So, for example, in the first alternate that Monique offered, she came very close to the camera. That may be a trigger for a person who may be highly reactive in the moment. So if we come back to the first question, it may not just be your words that trigger your partner, but also your nonverbal language. For example, if I say, well, Monique, is there more? I'm definitely not inviting Monique to become more vulnerable with me.
Yes, and eye rolling and sighs are two others. This viewer asks, I would love for my partner to paraphrase more. How could I request that they do this?
That is an excellent question. A simple way of saying that is to invite what I call reverse paraphrasing, which could sound like, can you tell me what you heard me say? In addition, I want to invite you to interrupt each other. You know, Monique, we should do a video on this because interruption has really, really bad rep when actually interrupting could be a very powerful tool because you can say, hey, stop, this is going nowhere, slow down, and, use one of the options that Monique offered earlier as a way of calming your partner, regulating their nervous system.
You can also invite your partner to practice paraphrasing. So, hey, I'd like to introduce this tool. Let's actively practice it as a couple.
Wonderful. My partner has done a good job learning paraphrasing. Sometimes I feel like clarifying would deepen the conversation, like telling her, hey, what I was really saying was that, and what I was not saying was that, but that tends to trigger them. Any hints?
Yes, it's a great tool you're using. What I am saying is this, what I'm not saying is this. So I invite you to lean into using that tool. And what I'm not saying is usually to de-escalate, to help relax somebody who's triggering. So I am saying that I'd like more help with chore management. What I'm not saying is I'm unhappy with you as a person. So sometimes bringing that to the forefront helps regulate both of you in the conversation.
Wonderful. This is the place where taking a deep breath, inviting one's partner to reconnect. For example, here, I would put my hand on Monique's chest and say, hey, Monique, calm down. This is not about you.
Yeah, and if they're reacting strongly to that, you can put your hand around them and pull them in. Everybody has a different sort of magic combination that works well for them. I've noticed that paraphrasing works better when my partner is calm than when they're upset. Should I not paraphrase if they're upset?
We all want to be heard and accepted. In most cases, I encourage you to keep going. And so there are lots of other active listening tools. One of them would be to say, hey, you look really dysregulated right now or upset right now. How about we take a break and we come back in 20 minutes? So all these, other tools that and I've mentioned in this series are really important. Here, I want to go a little further and talk about your own need as the listener, that you are effective in your listening so that you feel powerful, you feel strong in your listening. So here there is an important distinction to make. There are non-narcissistic resistance to your active listening, and there are narcissistic resistances. So the non-narcissistic is if your partner has grown up in an environment in which They do not have the experience as a child to be heard. They have the experience of being talked over, of being dismissed. And you can imagine there is a long list of things that could have happened. Then they may not trust the world, and they may not trust that it is possible for them to be heard. If that is your case, and I'm hoping that it is your case, then continue find ways to give love, to give empathy to your partner, and slowly but surely over time, they will relax that negative worldview and will be more willing to follow you in your blasting to them that you love them. The narcissistic resistances to being heard go way beyond this video. Help. In our couples paraphrasing practice, my partner often hijacks the process to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
The word hijack points me to wondering where you both are emotionally. It could be that you're already reactive, or it could be that they're already active, but the word hijack has some strength to it. So practice the regulation, the co regulation first. The other is increase your awareness on how much our cultures tend to ask us to judge, to make things right or wrong, good or bad. And so we're more likely to judge than to truly try to understand. And so work on the I language, what my experience is, what I'm making it mean, and avoid the what you think and what you do language. See if that helps.
One question you may want to ask yourself is the frequency of the hijacking. Monique and I are not clinical psychologists, so we are not able to talk about what narcissism is. However, in lay language, it is the absolute need to be right. So if your partner every time hijacks the conversation for themselves to prove that they are right and prove that you are wrong, this is the place you may want to see a person who is not only licensed but trained to deal with narcissistic behavior.
This viewer has a question about a relationship with her mom. And as you've probably noticed as a couple, your relationships with your adult parents are also impacting your relationship. She says, no matter how hard I try with my mom, she's still very reactive with every tool I try. What should I do?
We talked about nervous system regulation. Here, I want to go a little deeper. Some of us have had such a bad experience as children that they have a bank account of painful experiences in which they have never been validated, they've never been heard. For some people, it goes even further. In addition to that, they do not have any idea of what consent means. They have never been in a situation in which someone validated them, validated their consent. And so here, if this is anyone but a close relative, get out of that relationship. With a parent, especially one's mother, it is slightly different. And every one of your efforts count. So let's pretend that you have, or they have a 100 points punch card that need to be fully exhausted for them to begin to have what I would call a normal relationship with you like you want to have. Even if over the next 20 years you never get there, please consider that by the time they pass, their punch card may be at 60 or at 40 or at 20, which makes that they are still not able to be fully able to hear you and be paraphrased by you. But you have done a really good job lessening the basically heavy impact of that bank account. So keep up the good work.
And it's also true that for some of us, we're just not qualified to handle that level of dysregulation. So this isn't an invitation to beat yourself up if you say, I tried and I needed to stop. Um, there's all kinds of places to put your energy, and Valdo and I have found it's a great return to work on relationships with our parents, but it doesn't mean you have to.
Monique, this was a wonderful example of validation and consent for the people who can deal with it. Thank you. My partner does not like when I correct them when their facts are wrong.
That's probably understandable for most of us. Paraphrasing is about understanding somebody and being understood. It's not about the validity of the facts.
Please say more.
Yeah, so we get so used to wanting to be right and correcting what's wrong that we forget to listen deeper behind that to the experience the person's having. So the paraphrasing is to ask about what is your experience. And even if my mind is saying, but that's not what really happened, the heart, which is really involved with paraphrasing, is asking, what was your experience around believing that that's what was happening? This is a really deep end part of the paraphrasing tool, letting go of being right, listening to understand.
It's about connection, not about being right.
Yes.
If this video inspired you to better listen in your relationship and to liberate more love as a result, please hit the like button below and subscribe so you can be notified when Monique and I publish new juicy content. We look forward to seeing you very soon.